Hey over there, Joe Lunchbox.
Joy Nightingale.
And today we've landed right here in New York City. Now, you might be saying, are we going to war? No, we're not. Behind us is the Intrepid Sea, Air, and Space Museum. Now, this is a museum we wanted to film for years. We just never got to it. Joy's been here when she was young.
Yeah.
I only came once when I was 18 with Joy. But it wasn't to the museum. We actually saw a country concert there.
It was cool.
And on Halloween,
Yep.
all the New Yorkers were dressed as cowboys. I was dressed as a goth kid. It was weird. It was fun. I never listened to country music before. Joy was into it. But that's not what we're here today for. We're here to actually go on that ship, see what it's about. This is one of the battleships from the Navy. It's obviously been decommissioned. It's a museum now. And I like stuff like this. All right. Now, hopefully this stuff interests you. I like to bring you stuff on New York City. The Intrepid is a massive museum, but a lot of people, I feel, do Times Square if the tourists come to New York City and miss some of the things that are not in the dead center of Manhattan. We obviously are in the Hudson River. That's the Hudson River right behind me. So some people don't walk all the way to 12th Street over the West Side.
We rarely.
Yeah, we rarely come here. Like I said, I've never actually been on to see the museum. So I'm discovering this for the first time, bringing you. Hopefully you like this kind of stuff. If you do, you should like this video. If this is your first time here, welcome. You should subscribe to our channel. If you're back and you haven't subscribed yet, you can still do that now. We don't mind. Leave comments down below of cool things that we should go see, film. We try to go all around the country. But I think it's time to do this. The Intrepid. Let's step right up and go for this ride. Now, before we go on the Intrepid, I figured let's give you a little history of the ship. I'm sure we're going to learn a lot of history while we're on it. But this is one of the 24 of the Essex-class aircraft carriers. This exact boat actually first entered service in 1943, and it was dispatched to the Pacific in World War II. During that time, it did suffer some attacks from torpedoes and kamikaze pilots. It was decommissioned in 1946. They moved it to San Francisco. They moved it to Norfolk, Virginia. And eventually, it was modernized, re-put out. It was in the Cold War, stationed in the Mediterranean. And then it served in Vietnam. But after that, in March 15th, 1974, it was decommissioned officially. Then they moved it here in 1982. It opened up as this museum that we see before us today.
Ooh.
All right.
So excited.
Okay, we're gonna go on it now. The Intrepid Museum is a little more than just the aircraft carrier. This is actually a submarine. Figured the rain's coming down. If we're going to get wet, we might as well get in the water and go in a submarine. We actually don't get wet, but you get it. It's a joke because you're underwater. So the museum is actually made up of the Intrepid. We have the Concord plane, and here is the submarine. Entering a little exhibit. The bombings of stuff like the bombing of Hiroshima. During the Cold War, school conducted duck and cover drills to teach students how to protect themselves during nuclear attack.
This is just climbing under and staying there. Yeah. No ducking. I think if you ducked anymore, you would have to live under there.
I love the little turtle teaching kids to duck and cover, and then we see some of the kids ducking and covering under their decks. Booster rockets showing how the rocket actually shot from the submarine. And here we have one of those rockets. This is crazy, the most inexpensive conversion in US history. It was talking how they took a surface ship and turned it into a submarine, just sealing up ports with rubber gaskets and using 2 nickels. That's an interesting story. This is cool. Real-time hydrophone feed from the Hudson River.
Awesome.
This showing how the ships used hydrophones, an underwater microphone, and we actually could pick up and hear in the Hudson River. To submarine growler. I like this. Areas inside may not be suited if you get claustrophobic. We had to practice going through a hatch to make sure we fit on the submarine.
because if we can't, we ain't going.
And now we're going on. The USS Growler. I think this might be one of my first times going on a real submarine other than 20,000 Leagues. I don't think that counts.
So does not count.
We entered into the missile hangar.
My name is Molly. Explore the former USS Growler, a guided missile submarine that served during the Cold War. I'd like to share some background on Growler to prepare you for your visit and give you a better understanding
So
of
we're
this
on the
submarine's
Growler.
significance.
This served in the Cold
By the time I'm
War.
finished, Growler served with the U.S. Navy from 1958 through 1964 during the height of the Cold War between the United States and the Soviet Union. Growler carried 4 Regulus-1 cruise missiles. The Regulus-1 missile was essentially a radar-guided jet aircraft that carried a nuclear warhead. Each missile had a maximum range of 500 miles and was powerful enough to destroy an area as large as New York City.
It is crazy. They said this ship was commissioned in 1964, but the longest a crew was ever at was 72 days. And that crew stayed in the submarine for 17 days underwater. No sunlight, no starlight, just the filtered air.
Very
And I think it's cool. We just learned this is the only U.S. Navy submarine that you could tour in all the country. We have the John.
Maybe 400 kroner.
missile checkout and guidance.
Nickel Checkout Guidance Center. Very cool. And here we have the shower. And this way we tried beforehand to see if we could fit those through those little tight quarters. Looks like we have some bunks. 2 men would have been here. They had a little sink, their lockers,
Pantry.
little pantry, wardroom, a nice little sitting area.
This looks kind of cute.
Just imagine, this one actually had 3 men in this bunk. They said it could hold 90 to 100 men, this little ship. Here we have the captain. He was by himself. I like how his bed flipped up and there was 2 chairs. Yeah, well, because he's the captain, but I like how his bed could flip up and there's the 2 chairs under it. The chief petty officers' quarters, and you can see they were stacked like sardines in this metal can we're in.
They tells you what to do. However, most sailors I talk to, they say that thing's unnecessary because you know you're not capsized.
We have a map of the USS
They carry about
Growler.
14.
And did it have both front and rear?
Yep.
Engine room, captain's quarters, crew mess, control rooms. Really was a small ship.
And they had mostly anti-shipping.
Actually, I have a view of the periscope.
A couple of anti-submarine ones.
Over here, like the seat with the stern wheel.
Yeah. We actually see the steering of the ship. Imagine having to go down that. Sonar rooms. I love like the theming. Like we have the cigarettes, the typewriter.
typewriter.
I couldn't fathom 100 men. Imagine if they were smoking down here. Oh, I would not be good. Coming up to what I like, Joy. Mess halls. Big mixer. Look at those griddle tops.
Wow.
This is the cruise mess. I like how all their tables were board games.
Oh, that's so cool.
Now we
More
have,
sleepy quarters.
watch your step there. We have the regular cruise quarter. 46 bunks. Really stacked them floor to ceiling. I love these engine head bulkheads, these airlocks in case something goes wrong. The distillers, they actually were producing fresh drinking water by boiling the seawater. It's crazy. One of the things the gentleman volunteer up there was saying was there was 70 bunks for the 90 men, so some of the younger ones had to rotate bunks. And this loud busy machine room was right next to those bunks, so it would be hot, sweaty, noisy, right next to where they had to sleep.
So you could bring in,
torpedo room.
you could bring in the torpedoes from
They would launch
downstairs.
torpedoes. This is a fake floor. They would actually bring the torpedoes up from the basement,
We could
attach
move
them,
around
and
on
launch the
second floor
torpedoes.
downstairs. When they brought them here, this was open, there were ladders on the side, but you had to lift them up by muscle power.
So you had pulley chains, yeah.
From here and everything, and two guys were, six guys, whatever. This is about 1,600 pounds. These are the short torpedoes, they are 11 feet long. These are depth torpedoes. This goes down to about 400 feet. The submarine, chase submarine.
That was cool. And they were saying the ship would usually cruise at 500 to 600 feet below the surface, but it could go down to 1,000 feet, but only for a few moments, they said. I am so excited to see this. As a little boy, the Concord would fly over my house, and I'd see the nose go down, you'd hear the boom.
It was worse for us because where I lived, I was seriously like not too far away from JFK, and you would just hear like the boom every single time.
And obviously the Concords have been decommissioned, but that one of them is here, and we get to see it. And we actually paid a step-up fee, $7, that we're able to go into the Concord for the first class seating area. It's a 20-minute tour. But I love that if you look at the front of this plane, you can see the seam right below those first windows where the front nose would drop down. So crazy being next to this giant ship. You see that pavilion right there? That actually houses one of the space shuttles, Space Shuttle Enterprise. And right across the way we can see all the docks, Norwegian cruise. I wish we were entering this plane to take it across the way.
Watch your head. Please don't play with window shades or armrests. Watch your head.
That's cool. They were just telling us a bunch of this stuff. The last time we flew was 2003. The seats went for $12,000 then. I mean, I would get smoked salmon, a lobster dinner, or beef Wellington, so it was worth it. But he says the plane we're actually on now, that was 14 Concords, is important. This one broke the speed going New York to London, 2 hours and 52 minutes, world record. And this plane actually, celebrities would fly, and I'm sitting in the seat. Paul McCartney used to request every time. When Paul would come, sometimes he would get up, stand right near this door, and do a sing-along with everyone. The guy said not everyone was happy because there was a lot of business people on the plane trying to work. But when are you going to have that opportunity?
Yeah.
And it's cool. You see how far back it goes. And he said we have to be careful of the plane because it is 50 years old. Not allowed to touch the
Like the itty bitty.
little window. Yeah. Just think, 16,000. Your entertainment was right here with screens that would say your speeds, the Mach you were going, and all that stuff. That was all the entertainment. He said that's why a lot of people took full advantage of the open bar. They said this plane went 1,800 miles an hour at 50,000 feet. Planes now go 600 miles per hour at like 30,000 feet. And an interesting fact I knew is, I remember growing up where I grew up and where Joy grew up, seeing the Concord with the nose down. The nose had to go down actually. I thought it was something about how it had to fly. No, I said the angles of takeoff and landing were so extreme for the pilot to see, they had to lower the nose. I found that interesting.
Like darn car alarms.
Yeah, Joy said, because she grew up near JFK Airport.
Like you heard them.
Yeah, and the car alarms would all go off when the Concord was taken off.
And it was cool because he said that somebody else on one of the other tours was like, I lived close to JFK. I was like, yeah, that was me.
Is it like the video game? Sonic Boom!
Every time we got out, like the end of the semester, as soon as the semester ends,
You knew it went by.
We can only see in the front, but we can look into the back. I like that we actually have one of the food carts over there.
Captain's on the left, co-pilot's on the right. This is the flight engineer. He doesn't exist anymore. Everything in here is old-fashioned analog technology.
Like that is definitely awesome.
But regular passengers, such as yourself, would be invited up here with your glass of wine. You could sit here with the crew.
That was such an amazing experience, being able to go on the Concord He said out of all the other planes, there's some that you can still go on, but this is the only one you could go into the cockpit. We were in the Concorde's cockpit.
Awesome.
Yeah. We've done the Growler. We've done the Concord. Now it's time to actually do the Intrepid. All the make up the museum, but now we're on the big ship. I love when you eat on these ships and that the old mess halls are still the mess halls. I love the crushed pennies. We have the regular, and then we actually have the Concord collection of crushed pennies. So we're gonna do a crushed penny, one on the Concord side. Plane landing, you actually see the nose down.
Ew.
I like the helicopter. It's got some water underneath it. It gets that little sea and sky feel. A little off, but I crushed that penny.
Wow.
I have to say, this looks so different. Last time I was in this room, there was a stage right over here, and me and enjoy watching a country music show. It is beautiful that they actually used the inside to create all of this. Now you might be wondering, why the Intrepid? It's not just like the Sea and Air Museum, it also has space. Well, in front of us is a Mercury capsule. And you'd be like, okay, so they just wanted to throw some NASA stuff in to tie it all together. No. One thing the Intrepid did was on May 24th, 1962, it was the primary recovery vessel for the Mercury Atlas No. 7. And then on March 23rd, 1965, the Intrepid helicopter recovered the Gemini 3 capsule and the astronauts. Here's a little special report, Gemini commemorative, and there they are. Gus Grisham and John Young talking about them on that day I was saying being rescued by the Intrepid. March 23rd, 1965, helicopters from Intrepid picked up astronauts John Young and Virgil Gus Grisham. Lasered. Joy, have I ever told you? You have nice torpedoes, and so does this plane.
I was going with you, Mom.
And so is that a bomb, yeah. We have a replica of the bridge. So we're heading south now.
Oh no.
You're at the helm of the ship. I like the voice tube. This was an upgrade. They used to have the 2 cans with the string.
False facts.
These little fun selfie spots are cute. He's taking photos in the quarters and in the helm. I'll be an astronaut someday. I'm looking at the buttons and it's like rate, engine, abort. I don't know what abort would be in this thing. I'm nervous about abort mission. Crazy way to take off. You're in the laying position, but when you get up there, there's no gravity, so there is no up and down. This is awesome. The silver anniversary. A fake little Intrepid cake. 25 years in fighting. And it's like has the cake and the crew behind them. You're the A6 intruder pilot.
Intruder.
And this A6 intruder would have been an attack jet that would have flew off an aircraft carrier just like we're on right now. Except it wouldn't have had wood dials. I like this exhibit. Chairs everywhere. From we see the people just sitting in their plane, to the barber chair, to like the office chair, to the dentist chair. There are a few add-ons we didn't choose to do. You could do these flying a plane simulators, and there also is the Intrepid 4D experience. But I think I found what I'm looking for. I'm looking for the Space Shuttle. And Joy was also looking for the flight deck. These aren't put here so you could take selfies to be a gunner. I mean, you could, but these are actually the guns on the ship. Space Shuttle Pavilion. We are going to go see the Enterprise. Not the one from Star Trek, but the Space Shuttle. Look, Enterprise flies free. Enterprise conducted the 5th and final free flight test at NASA's Dryden Flight Research Center in California on October 26, 1977. The test demonstrated that the spacecraft could land on a runway. The technology advanced so much that this one didn't fly. I mean, it flew a lot, but like other space shuttles were coming in, being more modern. But anytime we could see a space shuttle, I'll take it. Oh, wow. They don't hide the reveal. You just walk in. I love that this now lives here at the Intrepid. It makes me sad that NASA has stopped the Space Shuttle program. We're still going to space, but not on these. This was my dream in life. When I was a little boy, I always wanted to be an astronaut and go up in a space shuttle. Interesting seeing the tiles that made it and how the top opened up the big cargo bay area. Talking about Enterprise. First orbiter. See, the Enterprise is a prototype. The Space Shuttle blended rocket and airplane technology. Enterprise was a prototype, an early model that conducted critical tests of this new design. NASA intended to use Enterprise for atmospheric tests and then refit it for spaceflight. Actually being released, testing the plane. Look at that. How cool is that? It's funny, this is the photo I wanted to share with you, but this actually isn't the photo. It's actually 50,000 Lego bricks. One of my favorite photos is when they were getting the Enterprise to New York and they strapped it on the back of a plane to fly to New York. Here it actually is going over Central Park. Made out of bricks. This is cool, teaching different things that came from NASA. I like the spray was used to preserve fruits and vegetables, so they had a little bit longer shelf life by cleaning the surfaces. Here's something crazy. See, NASA's Enterprise. Well, here is a Russian capsule, and these were doing the same type of experiments around the same time. Russian space capsule, a little different than our full space shuttle. We entered the gift shop and you definitely see we have New York City prices. You see this little tiny snow globe? Right now, I want you to leave a comment down below. How much do you think a snow globe like this would cost? Because I'm about to ruin it for you. $27. Now what we have left is the deck. We can see all the planes on top of an aircraft carrier.
Don't know what half of them are, but they look pretty cool.
Yeah, and that's what I always say. I'm fascinated by this stuff, but I don't know that much. So the more museums I go to, I pick up a little fact here and there. These are what I love. I loved like these Crusaders when they have the scary faces painted on the front. Danger. Ejection seat. Well, it's dangerous if you hit it at the wrong time. If you need it, it's pretty helpful. Beware of jet blasts. Intake and props. Yeah. Words to live by, folks. Joy, watch as I cosplay the guy from Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Oh my gosh. No. No.
It's interesting. I thought it would just be all American planes. Now we have a British Aerospace AV-8C Harrier. This is a Harrier jet, meaning it has vertical short takeoffs and landing aircraft. Those are the ones that just lifted straight up off the ground. And then went.
That would be great for like smaller boats.
A Harrier jet is the one that one time Pepsi Cola had the thing, if you earn points, you could get a Harrier jet. And the guy earned enough points, and then they went, well, we're not actually giving you a Harrier jet. And false advertising. we have an American that's even closer, just over the East River. Coast Guard from Brooklyn. Got a helicopter from them. And it's cool with this Coast Guard, you can see it could actually land in the water. To me, this plane looks like it's transporting some UFO on top. But no, that's just what it's meant to look like. This was a tracer. And the point of this Grumman tracer was early surveillance.
Built a massive discharge radar system,
Ooh.
which is APS.
APS 82. That's that big disc on top that I say looks like a UFO. And this was the early surveillance. We can actually see one of them in the waters of North Vietnam. It actually was launching from the Intrepid starboard. So we're actually seeing one of these planes take off from the Intrepid. A pretty Israeli aircraft industries, Kefir.
Fighting Falcon.
You can see on the back it says the boys from Syracuse, New York, U.S. Air Force Thunderbirds, an air demonstrating squadron, have flown F-16s since 1983. So this is the F-16 Fighting Falcons.
It's cool because it's saying in 91 that this one was assigned to the 138th Tactical Fighter Squadron, which was part of a tactical fighter wing of New York National Guard in Syracuse, henceforth, the boys from Syracuse.
We have a Blue Angel here. This is with Grumman Tiger. It might not be this one, but here's an interesting story. During a Tiger test flight in September 1956, a Grumman pilot shot himself down. While performing a dive, he caught up to his own cannon fire, which damaged his plane. The pilot survived the ensuing emergency landing. Tigers were flown from the Intrepid from 1959 to 1960. That's crazy. Imagine the plane was so fast he caught up to his own cannon fire. This thing is sleek. Lockheed A-12. First flown in 1962. I like the photo here of it actually being refueled in the air. Ooh, Grumman F-14 Super Tomcat.
It was only us in Iran that used the Tomcats.
I love the little Grumman goose logo on it flying there.
This was the 7th Tomcat built by Grumman. It served as prototype for all improvements to the series afterwards.
And if you might be saying, that F-14 Grumman, that looks familiar. Well, I'll tell you why. It is perhaps the most widely recognized of all Navy fighters thanks to its starring role in the 1986 film Top Gun. Taking a highway to the danger zone. One of my personal favorite things about seeing all the planes is the artwork that were put on the side. Like, I love when the fronts are made to look like the evil faces. But like, just check this out. We have two birds in a nest on top of the globe as another bird's circling the globe. I'm glad we finished the flight deck before those clouds open up. Time to go inside. This is where I would want to work, the chart house. Another one of those tubes that would hook up to the helm of the ship. Got some sonar controlling the Intrepid. Ooh, his almost is a little bigger than a twin Captain's sea cabin. Enjoy captaining the ship. Yeah, I like his room.
Oh yeah.
I could do that. We're in the navigation bridge. Now the captain might not have been actually steering the ship. We actually found the captain's chair, sitting in his chair on the bridge. The commanding officer watched the Intrepid's bow slice through the ocean. He observed aircraft hurtling skyward from the flight deck below. You actually see what he would be seeing of the ships coming in, landing, and taking off. I don't know. But this boat has some weird side view mirrors. We're watching everyone go down the ladder forward, not paying any attention to the big sign saying walk down backwards. So that way you don't fall forward. And closing the bridge. were in the flag bridge and the navigation bridge were open to the elements. Now they're enclosed. It's crazy. You see the Intrepid in April 1945, when World War II in the Pacific, fighting on some kamikaze pilots. And in April of 45, that would have been the Battle of Okinawa. And with the kamikazes, then 9 people died during the Battle of Okinawa and that. But the Intrepid, the most people that were sadly lost was on November 25th of 1944. 2 kamikaze pilots crashed into the Intrepid on the same day where 69 people passed away. That was the Intrepid's worst attack. And you see this 5-inch 38 caliber gun. You might be like, well, what does a shell like that look like? Here we have crew members carrying a 5-inch shell on the hangar deck, getting it to the gun. Imagine that. We have some more quarters here. It looks like these sailors like having some pictures of the pretty ladies on hanging out near where they were. You know, everyone heard of the rapper 2 Chainz, but these are big chains. These are the chains that would have been used to drop the anchor. Interesting. Sailor Heart. Look around the room for paintings of an American flag, a shield, an animated character roadrunner. Sailors use Intrepid as canvases to express their feelings. Some of the artwork, which most likely dates back to the 1970s, survives today. Another piece that sailor art. We have the shield, which is the anchor, 1st Division. And here is the Roadrunner. Beep, beep. It's funny, with all the little things you have to walk over. I want to know how many times people say to their families, other people, watch your step. Because I said it to Joy, and then literally 2 seconds later, someone said it to their little son. In the junior officers' bunk rooms. Ooh, got some cubism going on here. Photos of friends and family. I always love seeing the different layers that make up the ship. As you can see down and then down farther and farther. Another awesome Lego sculpture here of the Intrepid at 1/40th scale. I love me some Legos. This is crazy. You think we're on a big metal ship. Then you realize that the flight deck consists of 3-inch wood planks over a 0.2-inch steel. The top layer of wood was teak, a highly durable wood, and the bottom layer was pine. This is cool. They're restoring the Intrepid sick bay. I like it, Joy. We have the pharmacy logo on the floor. And we have more of the art. Art in the sick bay. Intrepid suite. Mike, I guess he was sick. Oh, this is a funny one for the pharmacy. The needle has the wings and the bullseyes on the butt. Photos of the doctor's actually working. See what he's working on. We only see 1 foot. There's not a secondary foot. The point of this photo is we could be a detective to see what it looks like now. You can see where the pipe comes down, and that pipe, and that, and then if you look in this photo, there, and the 2 pipes coming down. This is crazy. There was actually an escalator here. Piloting aircrew carriers between 20 and 40 pounds, so it's hard to get up the stairs. So we actually have a piece of an escalator step. And we actually can see the pilot's escalator. That is awesome. I did not know there was escalators here. This area is now in a steep climb up. Steps are uneven. Worth it. I want to look at an escalator. One thing I was not expecting on an aircraft carrier was an escalator. This is cool. An area for me, a photo lab. I love all the little hidden things. Some crew members used popular Argus CA rangefinder camera for their personal photography. I would love to see some of the personal photography. And I love an onboard dock room. Bestler enlargers. Photography I love. We have our trays for developer, our fixer, our stop baths. Developing our large format negatives. It's crazy because this is what the dark rooms were back then with photographers. But now it looks like I'm walking into my local like CBS or store. Media departments produce and distribute digital media while on the ships. They actually have a full media department. And the main museum aspect on the inner level, we actually have a wall of honor to all the people that lost their life actually on the Intrepid. Machine shop. When you're on board, if you need to fix something, you got to make the thing to fix it with. From drill presses to band saws to polishers. It's the galley. August 3rd, 1920, Intrepid departs Norfolk, Virginia. Intrepid's missions, fleet and NATO exercise in the Mediterranean Sea. That was actually part of the Cold War. The men of the S2 division dish up food for 15 hours a day. They serve about 7,500 meals daily. The crew requires 7 tons of food every day. 211 days and 1.5 million meals later, Intrepid returns to Norfolk, and there they are, carving up the roast. It's a lot of people to feed in this one kitchen. I like this. We actually have a 6-week menu cycle.
And that's them sitting down and
devising the menu over there. I like, it looks like they would just party for everything. Landing cake. 51,000th plane that probably landed. Let's have a big cake for it. Christmas cake on the chow line. Our coffee station. Here we have enlisted mess. I love that they have like
entertainment.
Yeah, this is interesting. Like the enlisted mess, but we have like a saddle on the pole, the horses underneath. Reward. This is interesting. I think it is awesome though that it had this like Western theme. I'm trying to see, is that really what it was? Who's responsible for these colors? My trembling knees announced that I was, as I stood before a team of officers who were conducting the inspection of the general mess. I had been told to use my imagination in decorating, and I would be the first to admit that orange and sunshine yellow were not the most military colors available in the supply room. And that was Robert Craig, Food Service Officer, 1970.
So this is cute. It's all themed. Like this is, and that was like more like a Western country.
Yeah.
You have like your outside picnic.
This is so cool. And it's talking about how rank has its privileges. Here's a second class mess. It's exceptional, if not unique, in the fleet. The Blue Room has been established for the E5 personnel aboard Intrepid, and I wish to restrict it use to the E5 pay grade. I've requested second class petty officers to protect their own privileges. Saw the Concord.
Saw the Growler.
Saw the Growler. Saw the Intrepid. We saw all there is to see. So I think we could call it
I think so.
Intrepid Sea, Air, and Space Museum. Been there, done that. Remember, folks, safe travels.
Good eats.
And live life. Good to know for you. Get your crushed pennies on the boat. They were 51 cents. In the gift shop, they're $1.